Thomas, good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
It is nice to see you. Now, I was saying before, what sounds boring is the draft annual plan, but what is slightly more exciting is the Chamber's submission. So for those of you who have been sitting in a corner, the draft annual plan basically sets up what the council intends to do, what it tends to be its priorities. You have written to the council in quite a robust manner, I must say, with ways, or you've basically called on the council to find new ways to attract revenue, to attract investment, and to reduce the council overheads. That's wishful thinking, Leeann, isn't it?
Well, Chris, we can have aspirations, and it's really important that what we want to see out of the council, and as I say that we represent 2,800 businesses across Canterbury,
Exactly.
sort of 60,000 employees. So both from a business perspective and a residents perspective, we cover a wide range of those people in Christchurch. So yeah, we expect to see some really bold, innovative thinking from the council and some decisive leadership. We're at a real turning point with the city's regeneration. So this is an ideal opportunity for the council to really open up and explore new avenues of funding, new avenues of raising revenue, and we are challenging the council to rethink some of those things that they may not have had on the table in the past.
Can you give me some examples of what you would like to see the council do?
Yeah. So, there's been a long debate over many years about recycling of capital, or, also known as asset sales. And I know that it is something that many people are very frightened of, and the council themselves simply don't have much of an appetite for it. But what we are looking at here is not selling the family silverware. We're suggesting to the council that they should put all of those things back on the table and have a good look. So they may do a full study of this and decide that that's not the right thing to do, but we are encouraging them to have a look at that. And what I mean by recycling of capital is not selling all of the council's assets, but actually looking at ways of bringing in revenue from those assets. So looking at bringing strategic partners, for example, so selling maybe a minority shareholding in some of the council-owned assets to bring in a strategic partner.
You've got here a commitment to, you'd like to see the council having a commitment to new thinking and developing new models of service delivery that are innovative and encourage co-investment. Do you worry there's not enough of that happening at the moment in terms of that co-investment? Because I can't think of many I can't actually think of many of those opportunities that already exist at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the council is not immune to things like digital disruption. We hear businesses talking about digital disruption and doing things differently all the time. What we would encourage and challenge the council to look at is what are they doing in terms of using technology to become more efficient? Is there a way that they can use artificial intelligence, for example, to make some of the services and the ways in which they operate more effective and efficient? So we're asking the council to really take a good look at internal operations and efficiencies and cost savings and make sure that they, again, explore those avenues.
It doesn't seem like there have been many cost savings inside council, inside Hereford Street. I wonder if that's because it's part of a culture that likes to have lots of managers. Or what's your overall impression of how the council's been run under Miss Edwards' leadership?
Look, I think any organisation is going through rapid change. Again, we've heard about the future of work, digital disruption. The council is not immune to that. So I would question whether or not they are doing enough to actually look at some of those efficiencies. What we also know is we are not in a business as usual environment and haven't been for quite some time, and probably never ever will be in the future, actually. So what the council need to do is make sure that they're responding to that. They are actually challenging the way in which they do things. They're challenging the way in which they engage with businesses, making sure that businesses have a strong voice and strong engagement in some of the future decisions that they're making across the city.
You've also said clearer mandates around agency responsibilities, and that's a big one, isn't it? And let me give you an example. When Nellie and I were out and about, and they had the hoses on, full steam ahead near the Avon River, and I thought that's a bit cheeky of the council, considering we're all being told to save water. But then we got a reply back saying, well, it's not us, it's actually Otakaro. Yeah. It seems like there are so many agencies running the city, and Leeann Dalzell has alluded to the fact she would like to see all that stuff cut and more collaboration. Is it a frustration that your members share, the fact that we've got so many agencies that appear to be trying to run the city, but sometimes it appears that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing?
Yeah, look, it's something we certainly hear a lot of from our members. And
nothing changes
challenge for the city, and I think it's really important to make sure that for the average business or ratepayer, what they're looking for is outcomes. Ultimately, they don't really care who delivers that. They're looking for good, solid outcomes, and there is a need for us to rationalise and relook at some of the agencies' roles and mandates across the city. There is a huge amount of overlap and duplication. So we must make sure that as we move forward, we consolidate some of that effort. We make sure that we've got the right capability and the right capacities in the right place. That might not necessarily all be with one agency, but we must make sure that we are moving towards consolidating some of those agencies across the city for that very reason, that we've got a huge amount of overlap and some real confusion about who is doing what, and they simply have to collaborate more.
You've also said, and this is an interesting one for me, because I used to live in the central city, more support and consideration for businesses and developers in the central city. What do you mean by that? What's missing now, do you think?
Well, look, I attend a lot of meetings at the council, and there is a myriad of different voices, I guess, around the table, providing input and contribution into some of the council discussions and debates. What I find is we represent, as I said before, 2,800 businesses across the city. We are one voice amongst a wide range of different interest groups. What sometimes doesn't get reflected is that these businesses have invested millions and millions of dollars into the regeneration of our central city. So they deserve a slightly stronger voice and a slightly stronger vote at times. The contributions that are made by the different interest groups are very important and very valid and need to be part of those conversations. But we must make sure that the business weighting, I guess, is acknowledged by council, and also that we support those businesses because they have led the regeneration of the central city in particular.
I agree, and I think it's incumbent on all of us to try and help support local. It sounds like a bit of a cliche, support local, but if you support local, then it's good for the local economy, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've talked about this before, but this is a real turning point. There's some amazing things happening right across the city, and in particular in the central city. Winter's pretty tough in the central city, but I would encourage you to put on your puffer jacket and get out there and actually get back into the central city, because there's some amazing things happening. We're going to see the farmers market open up very soon. That will be, you can only get that sort of opportunity and that sort of offering actually in the central city. So get out there and support those businesses and go and have a look if you haven't been back.
I agree. It's nice to see you as always. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks, Chris.
Leeann Watson, the head of the Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce. It is